You started selling on TCG Player, eBay, or elsewhere, and you've gotten to where you're getting sales every day. That's great, but now you've got all these orders that you have to ship. If you're just starting out, or you've just seen a rapid increase in sales, shipping can be overwhelming. You need a system with the right supplies and the right processes in place to make it all go smoothly. In short, you need to get good at shipping, and that's what I'll be talking about right now. The first big tip is to cut out handwriting on the envelopes, both the customer's addresses and your own return address. There's various ways you can do that. I can't claim that one is better than the other, but I can tell you about the ones that I use. What I use for the return address is a self-inking stamp like this. This is pretty cheap from Vistaprint and it's lasted forever. And then for the customer's labels, customer's addresses, I use thermal labels with a thermal printer. It's pretty easy to get the shipping information from TCG Player as a spreadsheet into the software for the thermal printer. Showing you how to do that is kind of outside the scope of this video, but if you guys want me to do something like that, make sure you leave a comment down below and I'll be happy to go through all that. Now, as far as postage, for parcels, I use Pirate Ship. Definitely the best website I've found. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but they've got the best discounts as well as the easiest interface to use, and it integrates easily with my thermal printer, so I can use that to also print out actual shipping labels for my parcels as well. For plain white envelopes though, I just use regular stamps from the post office. When I first started out, I would get discounted forever stamps from eBay, but the shipping lead times were horrible, and so I couldn't really plan around them randomly showing up 3 or 4 or 5 weeks after I ordered them. Suddenly the market crashed and all the sellers disappeared, which I then found out was because eBay had cracked down on all the sellers because they turned out they were printing counterfeit stamps in China and shipping them to the US. I'll leave a video in the description down below that pretty dryly, but it goes into detail about a whole lot of that. The short version though is that there aren't really any discount forever stamps that exist. Discounted forever stamps are not legitimate stamps 99% of the time. If it's too good to be true, it almost certainly is. So if we aren't getting cheaper postage, how are we keeping costs down without sacrificing the customer experience? Because remember, if we sacrifice the customer's experience, we're greatly reducing the chance that they will purchase from us again. We're potentially risking poor feedback, so we're reducing further business from other people who see the feedback, and then just word of mouth as well as a problem. So you have to find the least expensive, acceptable supplies to keep those costs down. So let's start with envelopes. No one else that I found has come close to as cheap as these Pen and Gear envelopes from Walmart. I used to get the number 6 ones because they were a little cheaper, but the regular business envelopes are what I use now. I get them in the 250 count boxes. It comes out to just a hair over 3 cents per envelope. You can also get them at Sam's Club for around the same price, Dollar Tree for around the same price, in smaller batches at Dollar Tree. For bubble mailers, here you definitely are best served by eBay. I mostly use these tiny triple zero mailers. Work great. I got 500 of them from eBay last year and I'm almost out of them, so it's almost time for me to order again. I also use, I've got some up here behind me, some larger ones, essentially the same, much cheaper on eBay than anywhere else. I know the industry standard for protecting your cards is to use top loaders like these. Those are great for home storage and display. I personally prefer to use shipping shields for when I'm shipping. I did a video about these about a year ago. They've only gotten better since then, a little sturdier. They got a little design printed on them now. They can usually be had directly from shippingshieldus.com for about 7 to 10 cents a piece, depending on how many you order at a time. The rest of the supplies I recommend can all be had from BCW Supplies, which is where I get them. Though there are definitely other companies that make some of these as well. BCW were kind enough to set me up with a 10% discount code that I could share out. So if you put in TCG Bulk Kings on your order form when you're ordering, you'll get that discount, and I'll get a little bit of a kickback too. Things like penny sleeves and team bags aren't going to surprise anybody. But here's one thing that I especially want to recommend to you guys, and that would be these right here, these business envelope sleeves. And the way these work, they are originally designed to put a whole business envelope inside, like this. I don't use them that way. The way I use them, I put the order in a piece of paper and fold it up and slide it inside one of those and just fold the end of it down just enough so that it fits inside the envelope. And that works so good for me. You can see here how I have all my supplies organized at my shipping station. Most everything I need is right at hand, set up in an extra 4-row BCW box. Like I said, I have used for a long time the smaller envelopes, but I've come up with a new packing process. So I'm going to show you that now. So here we have 5 cards. We go into a penny sleeve, into a shipping shield, tape that closed, get a regular blank piece of paper, put it in the corner here and tape it to the paper. This keeps it from moving around inside the envelope, and it puts it over to one side so that it should ride just fine through the postal service, just like a credit card does. Then we take one of these sleeves, slide it in just like that, close that, then our envelope, use our self-inking stamp for the return address, customer's address is there, then a stamp, get our little note. I got these from Vistaprint too. They're less expensive and less weighty than business cards. We want our card to go on this half of the envelope so that, just like a credit card in the mail, so we know those all go through, right? So get that in there, a little note in there, seal it up. So this is an order that's a full full master set of the cards from the Trick or Trade set that came out for Halloween. That's gonna go in a team set bag like this. Seal it up. Right into one of these bubble mailers, just like that. Okay, so I do want to talk about cost for a couple of minutes. Like I said, I try to find the least expensive, acceptable supplies to preserve the customer's experience, because that's the point, right? So altogether, my costs between the shipping shield, the envelope, the stamp, the protection sleeves that go on it, even the little note that I stick in there, my costs come out to about 73 cents per regular envelope. Most of the time, that means that I'm profitable on an order. Occasionally, I get a few orders that are a little bit below that, like if I sell just a single 5-cent card, my payout from TCG Player after fees is 59 cents. Obviously, I'm losing about 14 cents there. But very rarely do I get those kind of orders. They're more than made up for by 8-card, $1 card orders, 4-card, 10-cent orders, and things like that. It's just, for me, I don't fret about losing money on a few of the orders I have to pack here and there, because that's part of the cost of being in the bulk business. On average, profit is there on each order, and that doesn't even include the profits from TCG Player Direct, which I have a whole other set of videos about. As far as like larger orders, you know, occasionally, very rarely, someone will get in that window where they order greater than 16 cards, but that are 5 cents a piece, but less than what it's going to cost me to ship it in the parcel mail. I just go ahead and ship it as a parcel. I'm not going to try and shove 40 cards into a plain white envelope and cover it with stamps and hope. That doesn't look good for the customer. If it does arrive, it doesn't
It certainly doesn't look good if it doesn't arrive and gets sent back to me, or worse, it does and they have to pay $4 extra to get their cards just because I'm trying to trim those costs. I'd rather preserve the customer experience, and if they enjoy that experience, then maybe they're going to buy bigger orders from me or bigger cards from me for the next 10 years. Worst case scenario, I'm out a buck. Best case scenario, I end up with another $1,000 from that person over the next 10 years. So that's the way I see that, as like a trade-off. I'm not too messed up about every single order that I pack has to be profitable, because overall I'm profitable, and I don't want to endanger that customer experience. Hopefully these tips have helped you out. Again, this is just what I'm doing. If you see anything that would make things easier for me or for the rest of the people watching, go ahead and leave a comment. Give me a subscribe if you like this kind of content. I've got more Getting Good videos I'm going to put right up here so that you can have a look at those if they might be helpful for you. And be sure to check out some of my other content in other places, especially Patreon, if you would really want to support me in that way.